and
Quick attendance. Daryl.
Here.
Linda.
Here.
Jane. Claire.
So she's back.
Marcia.
I will belly up to that side so we don't seem so
Kitty.
Oh, sorry.
diffused. You want to come with me?
Karen.
I'm nervous.
Huh?
Terry.
Here. Okay.
You said Debbie.
Debbie's coming at 7. She did text me that she'll be.
Okay. Anything we'd like to officially add to the agenda? Speak now for a altarpiece. Cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
And it looks like we might have some public comment. Oh, and we have some guests, so I guess we can go around and introduce ourselves. I'm Daryl McCool, and I'm the chair of CAPS.
I'm Karen Taylor, member.
Linda Tan, co-chair.
Sandy Pennington, liaison, for one last meeting.
Cindy Spuka, interested community member and art lover.
Terry Whitaker, CAPS member.
Hi, I'm Chris Lasis. I'm here because I have an idea and I wanted to check out the meeting tonight.
Great.
Andrea Golid, and I'm here for a couple reasons. One is to deliver this. This is a thank you card from our Cub Scout pack.
Wow.
You should look at it because some of them got pretty creative. This is Nicholas. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Nicholas and I have no idea why I'm here.
We have a Cub Scout meeting at 6:30 and her sons are I'm the leader. And I had to postpone that meeting so I could come to this meeting.
Well, Nicholas,
thank you
for joining our group.
Didn't you paint one of our mural squares?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
That, I think, is why you're here, because we're the ones that
They're
were.
the ones that did it.
Yeah.
They're the
Did you
ladies
have
that
fun?
organized it.
Yes.
Like lots of fun?
Yes.
We had some really good feedback about doing it, and they're really excited to see the whole thing together. Very
So
excited.
are we. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to share the feedback with us? That you-
They just love the whole concept of it, and they loved being able to do it. They did think the squares were a little hard.
Okay.
So did the parents. But they loved this being one small part of something bigger than them, and then being able to see it all together and being able to have it on the bike path, and they're just very excited about it. And I know I've gotten feedback from other parents too that thank you for incorporating more art types of things into Cub Scouts, because we typically do a lot of camping things, like typical Boy Scout things. So I make it a focus with my 2 dens to integrate more arts type things.
That's great.
And Nicholas, you liked it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
What did you like about it?
painting.
Did you like having to copy it, or would you like to free paint?
Free paint.
Unfortunately, that doesn't work.
For this project, yeah.
There could be other projects possibly.
Did you sign your name on it?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, I did.
Well, thank you very much, and it's a lot of fun. I think we have a mural update coming up, but we're hoping to get the framework done and then all of the squares hopefully next week, since it's vacation, and I'll have help home from school.
You need to stop yakety yakking, Daryl. Start snoring. Uh-oh, this is gonna be. Oh, wow! Look at that!
That's awesome.
Thank you! Nicholas, where did you sign? Is this you? Right there?
Yep.
Thank you! That's just as helpful as our mural.
They really liked it.
Now we'll be very motivated.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah. Keep you guys interested so that maybe you'll be sitting here at the table in 30 odd years.
Maybe not that.
Yeah, maybe.
You're gonna be here maybe 25?
No.
No?
Sooner than that?
Yeah, maybe.
Hopefully sooner.
No.
All right.
Okay, well.
Never.
Okay, well.
Never. You've got med school to
He's
get
seeing all these women and he's like not doing it.
Yeah, no.
But there are committees with more men than women.
Yes.
I don't know, I like the ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would rethink that decision.
Okay,
rolling, it's about 6.
Yeah, over there.
Yeah, see right there.
Yeah.
You can hang out over here.
Yeah.
I'll take
Hang out, eat donuts and do nothing.
Yeah.
That sounds, you know what?
Those are good goals.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it and had a lot of fun doing
Yeah,
this.
yeah. So the other reason why I wanted to come here is because when I was looking up your agenda to find out when you're going to be meeting next, I'm glad I did because I thought it was next week, but then I was like, Thanksgiving. I saw on the agenda that you had artwork for the Element Hotel on there, and I wanted to find out if there was like a call for submissions or what the plan is around that, because I'd like to submit my artwork.
So they have already selected, it's a private company, and I actually don't know what their exact process is. But I know that we've talked about so we're gonna go through an art master plan process, and I'm assuming that part of that will include opportunities for local artists to submit.
Okay.
Element Hotel was more of us reacting to their submittal. Sorry, I'm in the pitch chairs here. And I think that they've got kind of a cookie cutter model that they use system-wide. So,
And we were just really hoping that they would have some component of art there, so we're glad that they're doing it, but hope to have more local art. I went to the Louisville, they unveiled a piece of art. They have a little art garden essentially in their community park, and it was a local artist that did a bronze piece that they had. It was really beautiful. They read a poem before it, and then they unveiled it, and it was nice. And what I noticed is there's little pads, concrete pads all around, and there was a sign for a possible sculpture on another pad. So something like that might be really fun to incorporate in our master plan, pads around that have either permanent collection or a rotating collection.
Right.
Well, and why don't we share with her progress on our artist registry, our local artist registry? So
Well, you can share. It hasn't gotten very far. Cindy's gonna hopefully. You volunteered at the last meeting, I do believe, help out, or at least give some guidance on how to do that. We want to get more of the artists in Superior connected, all of the arts, the performing arts, the literary arts, and have a resource for that, so.
Sure.
right. So if you do have any other local RFPs, I think we would hopefully have this automatic list that we can tap into.
So did the hotel contact you guys and say, we want art, but we already made the decision? Like, how did that happen?
No, they
presented their final development plan to the town board and said in it that they were having art. And at that time, we weren't even really created yet, this committee. And so we wanted to have some potential involvement, but as Daryl said, more so we wanted we were pleased that there was going to be art there. So
Is it
that one,
inside or outside?
outside.
she pulled out.
Yeah. But Superior Shores, is that what you were just
that's-
gonna
go
say?
ahead.
So one of the goals of our committee is to have art with all development that comes forward, and we were able to get Superior Shores to commit to putting a piece of artwork on their new development. It's about 2 years out, but one of their people was here at our last meeting talking to us about it, trying to gather ideas, and we did say we would love the idea of a local artist being used, so.
fish.
Well, so this is a sample, right? So it's not gonna be a fish.
That could be at Superior Shores.
Right.
Such a water-based community.
Picture the exterior of the building.
Not a coastline.
Here would be the dedicated art site for this particular building, and then what they are.
Yeah, show the other
Oh,
one.
Buffalo. Oh, isn't that nice?
So you can kind of conceptually see, and then a little bit just in CAD. The expectation there. And they had a couple, let's see if they got another one.
There's the bunny, yeah, the bunny.
Oh, how fun.
But that looks more like the hotel that we're actually
Yeah.
getting to.
Yep. once we saw the other reference photos, is they have a general like stylized theme that they incorporate nationwide on these elements. And they try to tie in some local spin, so the other one was whitefish.
Very large rabbit.
And then, yeah, I actually can tell you where this location is.
Just out of curiosity, Andrew, what is your medium?
Well, it can be multiple things. So I don't know how much you remember about my process, but for those who don't know, I have adults and kids come to my photo studio, and they're allowed to basically play with paint. And when they're done, I go back to their painting, which is anywhere from 6 feet to 9 feet wide. And I take macro shots from different textures and movement and composition. And from those macro shots, I make large contemporary abstract art pieces. And they could be canvas, they could be metallics. Right now I'm doing a lot of metallics and acrylics. I actually have a show opening on December 1st. Where you guys want to come? It's at a brewery. I'm going to put a flyer together in the next couple days, and I can email you guys, because I'm sure that it's at Brews Beers, or Brews Brewery. It's all, they specialize in Belgian beers. They're in Midtown. It's like 68th and Pecos. And it's a solo show, all my stuff.
Cool.
Wonderful.
And that'll be all metallics.
Nice.
Yeah. So it can be anything that I kind of, like some pieces don't suit canvases and sometimes things don't suit metallics. So it's just whatever I make and feel how it would, would best be the format for it. So, but it can be, and it could also just be a print with matted and framed too. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There's it's a certain metaphysical element when I take a picture of a painting and the photograph goes on a canvas. So it's all this layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. But yeah. So, but my stuff lends itself really well because it's so kind of captivating and pulls you in, and it's really it's not divisive in any way.
What's your website? I'd love to go see.
I can give you a business card.
Okay. I think you have already, but, because I feel like I've heard this before, but
Yes.
I need to now go and look.
Yeah, so they're very, they're just pleasing and calming, and so they make great anything for office lobbies, hospitals, hotels.
Oh, so interior, not
Yes.
exterior. Okay.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
so that's good to know.
Yes.
Yeah, think about
Yeah.
it.
I wouldn't see it as sculpture, but that would be interesting. That would be an interesting concept.
Yeah, how to convert.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Make sure we just grab your address for the public comment.
Sure. 2855
Yep.
Rock Creek Circle.
Oh, you live in the Summit.
Yep.
So do I.
Oh, what are you?
I'm in 126.
I'm 287.
Not far.
How long have you lived there?
3 years, 4 years,
Oh, okay.
something like that.
We were there when the big fire happened. We were part of it. That was before you were there.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you have anything
was it,
else? Or-
yeah.
Well, thank you
That
so
was
much.
it.
We really appreciate it. And
Yeah.
we'll keep you posted on when the mural is up and if we actually have an unveiling, which I hope to have.
Yeah. Do you think that will happen before New Year's? Maybe. Depends on weather.
Well, yeah, so our parks guys are gonna try to hang the frame up.
Okay.
This week. We looked at a pretty dry week, so hopefully we get it up.
Cool. Cool. Okay, and then I'll send you guys an email with the show date.
Yeah, that would
There'll
be
be food, free food. So. Yeah, right?
That's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Did you draw something?
Wrote something actually.
You want to read it?
You can read it.
Want some help?
Yes.
You could just hand her this.
The whole notebook?
No, he didn't.
It was too darn cute.
Oh, you are so welcome. It says, thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Oh, you're welcome.
You make it fun.
Yeah.
See, you should come more often.
Yes.
Obviously, we need some young men on this committee.
We're hoping to do
donuts.
writing
Yeah, I
projects
was
maybe
gonna
this
say,
year.
donuts, buddy.
Everybody, the whole town will be here.
All right, so.
You ready?
Yeah. Let's go.
I'll make sure you're going to.
Yeah. Is that your coat?
That's the agenda, and then there's, yeah,
Roll around.
take one of each.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What?
Yeah.
I know. Thanks. Thank you. Good job. All right, so, Chris, did you want to share with us your?
Sure, if there's time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over, so I don't
We
feel
have
so
a
alone.
light agenda, it's more of a working
Okay.
piece.
To make it official, I'm Chris. I live at 2910 Jade Court, Rock Creek, here the last 5 years with my family. I think I know most of you, some of you I don't know as well. But,
I live across the street from you.
really? Oh, how do we not know that?
Of all the people you should know.
We should talk later. Well, first, I just wanted to say thank you for volunteering your time to be on a town committee. I'm a huge fan of CAPS. I know I don't come to the meetings, but I'm a huge closet supporter of you guys, and I think you guys have done some pretty cool stuff this year, and I can't wait to see what you do in 2019. So first of all, thank you for volunteering your time. So I come to you today as a concerned mom. I have twin boys. They're 6 years old. They started first grade at El Dorado this past fall. So I walk them to school every morning and I pick them up every afternoon. And there's definitely a growing concern about the unsafe driving conditions and the speeding along Indiana. I know it's caught the attention of the sheriff's department because I'd say about once a week, they usually have like a cop car there during the mornings, which definitely calms things down, you know, but obviously it's not a permanent solution. I'm specifically most concerned about that intersection of Mount Sopris in Indiana, which is the main cutover to the school. And we're fortunate to have parent volunteers to be crossing guards, which helps a lot. But even just recently at the PTO meeting last week, they talked about how crossing guards don't even like feel safe out there. Even with their, you know, my friend just started, and even with her hands out there with the stop signs, cars definitely encroach on the intersection. Some just go right by her. Clint, our mayor who volunteers on Friday, has actually started reporting cars. He takes pictures and he calls the sheriff afterwards. And it's just ridiculous. He's a big guy out there with the stop signs, and people still go through the intersection when he's out there.
Good gracious.
So it's a little scary. So I read this article a couple months ago, and the title was Calming the Street with Art Beneath Your Feet. And I thought it was a very interesting article, and the whole strategy was, instead of, a lot of communities are now trying to use art to slow traffic and to calm the streets. So my idea was, what if we painted that entire intersection, the entire square, in like a bold, colorful colors. So really it would create a different space right there. So maybe vehicles entering that intersection would be like, wait a minute, what is this? The pavement is different. I'm entering into a different kind of place here, you know, and something special about this intersection. And the specialness would be, there could be a child in it. So I brought in these
saying big, huge letters, slow down.
yeah. So like, an example just I pulled off the web is something like this, where they don't just paint the crosswalk, they paint the entire thing. So it really becomes like something different that you're entering. I think this is actually from Louisville. Caught my eye on Facebook a couple this summer, and I was like, wow, that's like amazing. So again, I know we have a transportation safety committee here, and my husband is on it, full disclosure, and they've tried a lot of things to slow down traffic and do different things, and it usually involves $10,000 speed humps and traffic signs, and you know, I think I commend all of them, right? I think some of the things that they've done have been great, and some of the things that they've done have completely failed. And I can do that because I'm his wife to say that. So my thought is like, why don't we try something different other than like being like we eat speed humps? Like, why don't we try something different that I don't know what the realistic cost of something like this would be, but I doubt it's $10,000. And also it might be something, a solution to try that could be done in the sooner than later. You know, this wouldn't take like 6-9 months of approvals or something. It just can be done on a shorter time frame. And if you guys thought there was any merit to trying something like this, I would absolutely volunteer to be a part of it, to partner with the school, maybe something that would fit a design that would fit the school with the gold and purple, the eagle, who knows?
That would be cool.
I'd also be able to like get 30 moms right away that would definitely paint this thing, you know? I'd go to the board for funds, things like that. So I wanted to bring it up. I wanted to see what you guys thought. And if you had any interest or thought it was a good idea, I'd be happy to lead it forward in some way.
So you're hired. So we have actually been working on this project for a year.
Okay.
And we have a whole, on Pinterest, we have a whole section dedicated to these crosswalks. We think it's an incredible idea. And we have read a lot about its, efficacy in slowing down traffic.
Right. Good.
We actually put 3 in place. Clearly, they're not making an impact.
Still have one at that intersection,
But not at that intersection.
I feel like the looks are more for the people walking.
walkers,
It's
yeah.
not for the cars, you know what I
Okay,
mean?
so.
So that would be my,
Right.
I love those little looks. I do. But I feel like we need to stop the cars, not the kids, because I cannot
Right.
expect my kids to be looking. I just can't.
Right, and that was one of the discussions we had, is how do we gauge whether the looks were successful or not? And the fact that you're here and you're experiencing some terror on the streets is not good for our looks. The problem that we have with these, because we would love these, is
Yeah.
it has to be a maintenance.
Right. It doesn't last
in
forever.
partnership with
The town.
the
right.
town.
Mhm.
But we are working towards, I'm hoping that we can get something like this, at those intersections, because I agree. I mean, I'm not even near a school, and the kids, I have a new cut-through street, and it's kind of scary. But one of the other ideas we talked about is, and I don't know if you came across these in your research, 3D.
Yeah, I did see them.
So I think that is the problem. The Louisville one that you showed.
Yeah.
Apparently, because I drove through that, this is only impactful from above. When you're
Right.
driving through that intersection, it doesn't scream.
You don't see it actually.
Right.
Except when you stop at the stop sign, then you go, oh, this is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's coming from the side streets and not down the main section. And so, and even the paint has worn off considerably. So one of the discussions we've had is that whatever it is, we need to do white as the bottom, so that everything is laid on top of it, which is more like the other one that you have.
No, because we totally agree with you. But looking at the busy one, as a driver, is that gonna, give me a little bit of vertigo? And is that what we want, right? Oh, I need to slow down because I can't concentrate, right? Or is that, or is a child
What if you
wearing
just
orange
did,
going to
like,
be standing
painted
in
the
the
whole
middle of
thing
it?
like a bright purple or yellow, or just one color to
Yeah.
make it different? And maybe it doesn't have to be so elaborate. I mean, these are beautiful, but maybe we don't even have to do that. Maybe just be bright orange with maybe the crosswalks outlined in white, so at least the kids know where to go.
Yeah.
I sort of like the idea of
Something
using
simple.
the school's colors and then be able to have one at Superior Elementary the same.
Yeah.
And it's purple and gold, right?
Mhm.
So the gold could actually be a little more of a fluorescent-y
Right.
color, but something with the eagle
Yeah.
on it, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then the school, it's their project to refresh it every year.
Mm-hmm. And if it was something simple, that might not be, that's something the PTO would just go out there and, if it's not, this is probably too elaborate, but if it's something just nice and simple, I mean, yeah, and if it worked, you'll definitely get people going to do that,
And you could
every
have some
every
words on
quarter.
there like slow, slow, our
Right.
precious kids are here.
We're talking to
something
you,
like that,
Sue.
you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I will say that I went to the Louisville one when they were painting, and it was a block party, so they shut down the street, and it was really fun, and I think that, to me, has buy-in. So we just had the little Boy Scout here that's saying, we love this was great. He is
Right.
now deeply connected and rooted to our community, and I think the more people that are on the street, painting, experiencing, connecting, and saying, hey, this is my street, this is about me, the more people will buy in and start slowing down and
Right.
paying more attention and that kind of thing.
I like how you brought the PTO component to it, because that helps us develop some partnerships potentially going
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, and I think that's what we need, because we are, it's supposed to be an advisory group, but we're really an action group. I mean, we are literally out there painting the streets.
We actually
And-
painted on that asphalt.
Yeah,
It got
so-
a little hot out there.
So to have partners and willing participants to volunteer and help out is exactly what we need and
Well,
we want.
definitely use
So
me for that.
what if, we're talking about like the cars really need to be aware that this is a separate area. This would be a lot more involved, but what if there was a different texture in there, like cobblestone or something like that, like all, so that was all looked like
that
a
would be
walk
nice,
right.
area.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
that would be a lot bigger deal, but I feel like that would really make it seem like, okay, this is different than the regular
Right.
road, and maybe
Yeah.
it would stand out more to the
Well,
drivers.
to that point, those rumble strips,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, that makes the most sense, is you bore in those rumble strips before that section.
Ah.
You hit that,
So
your
you're
tires
still-
go,
yeah.
oh, and then you get the painted area,
Uh-huh.
and
Right.
then move on.
You could incorporate that into the design. too,
Right.
If you could put them in, I don't know if you can do the rumble strips in a
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, it just was thinking like that's an easy way, I mean, cobblestones are amazing, but to
Maybe too
redo the
big.
whole street might
Yeah.
be, but the rumble strips are just, digging through the asphalt, I think.
Right, texture, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be dramatic and being like, kids are gonna die, right? No one needs to hear any of that kind of stuff. But I mean, the problem is like if we don't do anything, nothing is gonna change. And I mean, it's November, so it's been August, September, October, like 3 months, and people are already like so concerned about it. They're just like, just have to try something. So.
And I'm not sure, as much as I'd love to, I'm not sure we can paint until it gets warmer. We
Yeah.
have to find out about the temperature of the asphalt, how, I mean, I often paint on inappropriate days, but that's me painting for myself. This is something we want to sustain and last as long as possible. So we would need to research that a little bit in terms of that.
Could paint ponchos for Clint's, and that's what I say, slow down, right?
Those big vests on, they've got the two big
Exactly.
stop signs.
Exactly.
Putting out the signs that people are driving right through.
Very colorful.
I mean, it's not like ever
Yeah.
all the time, but
Yeah,
I
but
mean.
it happens. Well, but then also, I'm using the Wildflower Park drop-off,
Mhm.
and it feels a little scary to turn left down there too.
Yeah.
Because kids are riding their bikes right across there.
Yep.
So the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Well, that could be a good location for the look too, I mean, I know that.
Because that's all brand new this year, and
Yeah.
so, I
Yeah.
mean, everyone's kind of feeling their way still around that.
Yeah.
So, Claire, on another, you should actually possibly come to a town board meeting and give that personal assessment, because when we did that loop,
Uh-huh.
we gave a great deal of thought to
Right,
right
the traffic.
turn only.
Ah.
Okay, so, but
It's hard to
after
turn
beating
left, yeah.
it to death, we said, okay, well, let's try it without any
Yes.
restrictions.
Well,
But
yeah, if you're coming from my side of this road and you're like, okay, if I turn right, where the heck do I go? Then you end up in this huge traffic jam up there.
Well, then you're going through the
And then
intersection
you're going
that
through
we're
the other
talking about.
intersection. Yeah.
you've got
so I'm
the
like,
exact, you've got
yeah.
the exact dilemma.
If you could go back around the school, but I'm sure the people on that street, Tori Speak, wouldn't like that. If you could just,
It's all school zone. We made that whole block, whole quadrant, a school zone.
Mhm. I don't know, there's a lot of traffic issues that drop off over there, so.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely on our mind and on our list. I mean, we started small and wanted to sort of test the waters and see,
Yeah.
but we have been thinking a lot more, mostly about the crosswalks, but the intersection, I think, is the expansion into that is a good idea.
And maybe you're right, maybe if it is something nice and simple, it would be very easy to maintain. instead of being like, we need volunteers to go repaint the mosaic, whatever, it'll be like, just go and do some stripes out there, you know,
Yeah.
so. Anyway, thanks for discussing it, I'm glad
Great
it's already
idea.
on
Yeah,
your
thanks.
to-do list.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, on to Sandy Hammerly. Would you care to join us at the table, ma'am?
No,
We don't bite. All right. Okay, so, we are now, we didn't actually officially have the,
This is,
elements
it's hilarious.
piece on the agenda. I didn't add that, sorry.
I was on it.
Oh, you did?
Oh, where are you?
Yeah. Do you have?
Oh, because I'm looking at the one, okay, yeah, thank you. I don't have the updated one, I
Did you
have my
print this from home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. I steal a real one. Okay, so now we're on to the RFP.
So it's just kind of a follow-up to as a follow-up to the dialogue that we started last month, we did a little bit of searching around on who's released art master plan RFPs. And actually back up, I created the Dropbox link for the committee.
Yep.
Did everybody get that?
Yes.
So I believe that I put these documents in there. If I can double check.
So it came to me as the group email, and so it didn't allow me access.
Yeah, me either.
So you have to send it to
You
each
can't
of us.
view it either.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I got into it.
Oh, I think.
So I didn't make it to where it's editable, but you should be viewable. If not, I can do a re-invite.
I'll go, I sent a request to get, to even be
Yeah.
able to view, yeah.
Okay, I'll follow
Okay.
up. So this one's from Colorado Springs, which once you get past kind of all the form stuff that we're required to put in bids, I wanted to get to the scope and start to kind of flesh out that dialogue of what we are ultimately wanting to accomplish with this art master plan. Project scope. So actually, this one was kind of interesting to me, and then I included within the Dropbox folder a sample of what Vail uses. It's a little bit dated, but it was a decent document. I can bring that up as well. And I wish it's always is a pain in the butt in this room. I wish we had a different way to view it. But I thought that there was, a good kind of robust, rounded out scope in terms of what we're ultimately wanting somebody to accomplish on our behalf. And what really caught me on this one was, define an aspirational vision. I know that we talk a lot about like the placemaking and what we're ultimately trying to capture. But anyway, I'd like to get the dialogue going. We've got the form stuff easy. But getting that scope written and collecting the input from you guys, I think, is kind of critical. And I don't know the best way that you guys want to kind of take bites at it, or if there are some big picture goals that I can capture that you want to make sure are in. I think now's the time. This is a good time of year for Allison or myself to write these documents and get them posted, and then have some kind of due date for proposals in January. And maybe we spend January reviewing, and optimally by the February meeting, maybe have a contractor that we're interested in working with. So with that, I'll kind of just leave it as an open discussion item. And if you'd like me to move around within the document, I'm happy to do that as well. But more of an idea starter here.
Do you mind going back up to the top? Like, I didn't, their goal, their number one goal isn't really our number one goal.
No.
In my mind, it's definitely something to think about, that would be our primary goal.
I'd like to walk through it a little bit.
Yeah,
just to
absolutely.
open- Yeah.
I would like to see this project scope from about 10 different communities, proposals, of various sizes.
So here's what's interesting, is we're not having a lot of success finding standalones. We are finding them incorporated in other proposals.
What does that mean, standalone?
As we're just asking for a master plan for art. They're typically included in other types of master plans or strategic plans.
Oh.
There are these, what we are finding, let me switch over.
Did you have any luck with Louisville? Did they, because they just finished theirs in 2017, do you know?
Yeah, we did, we've asked for that scope, we haven't received it.
They haven't given
But you know, here's an Art in Public Places strategic plan. So we've been able to look at what some of the existing plans are. To me, unless we're looking in the wrong place, everything seems to be a little outdated, either 10 years or older, or people are currently going through the process. But like this Vail one, I actually thought had an interesting layout, you know, opportunities, funding mechanisms, implementation. I actually really like this session of relationship of this strategic plan to other planning documents.
Yeah,
You know, and then I know that we've discussed a lot the idea of having that kind of art registry. So, but I'd be more than happy to continue kind of searching around and see if we can find some different samples, and then we can just independently generate a scope from there.
And these are in Dropbox already, these documents, or, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember
And
seeing
does-
this one.
Town of Superior does have a generalized master plan, is that right?
We do have a comprehensive plan from
So-
2012.
Oh, it's kind of old.
It
Yeah.
is, and
And
then the
they're-
Parks and Rec master plan's actually older.
Oh,
It's
wow.
2005.
Are there plans to update that, you think?
We've requested for quite a while to try to update the Parks and Rec master plan, and it doesn't seem to take in the budget. It's about an $80,000 process.
Wow. I saw a document recently that Matt McElbee handed out at our leads group that just showed like all the development that was planned in the next few years.
Mhm.
So that might be something we will want to take a look at too when we're thinking about where art could fit into the proposed development.
So does this have any goals? Is there a page, Patrick, that,
They've got, let me see. Yeah, overall goals for this AIPP group. These bullets here.
yeah, well, those bullets, I'm particularly liking bullet 2.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think you're right, we need to gather about at least 10 of them and have a chance to look through it all.
Well, and especially one similar size. I mean, Vail's
Yeah.
a similar size, but they're not, you know, financially, they're in a different bracket than
Stratosphere.
Actually, does Longmont have one?
Yes, they have an art.
So there's existing visions, there's existing plans, but in terms of like scopes. So I absolutely can bring back multiple plans if we want to start
Yeah.
there. And I'm told that's, I think, a great place to start.
But yeah, the RFPs is a separate thing.
RFPs,
Right,
then what I would
right.
suggest is we deconstruct the existing plans, find what we like, don't like, and then write our own
Right.
scope and get specific.
Well, and we could even look at, so if you go to the folks that somebody recommended to me, Corona Insights, they look at it a little bit differently, and it's not necessarily a master plan, but they're trying to evaluate and look at how communities incorporate art and what they want to do with it.
That's called who?
It's called Corona Insights.
Is that a consulting?
It's a consulting, it would be somebody that we would actually possibly give the RFP to help us facilitate this. It was a name that was given to me when I went to the grant writing workshop.
Okay.
And I went to their site, and then, I mean, they don't specifically call them master plans, but they're evaluations and strategic plans, essentially. So it's, you know, it's just, I think it's just wordsmithing in a sense.
So mentioned the projects coming forward through ProStack. How do we go forward establishing this partnership, this integral partnership with the other committees so that we know what they're doing and they know that we would like to be a part of them, right? So isn't,
So I had suggested to Laura one day, I just saw her, at the park, that maybe sometime in January, there we have some kind of intercommittee meeting, because I don't even know anybody that's on. I mean, I know some people, but, to have a visioning thing kind of all together, or kind of discuss the little presentations, this is what we're working on, this is what we're working on, or something, like a little more communication that way.
So that is in the works, because we're gonna plan to do the committee and board training. So that piece, that should be a January item for sure.
That's a great idea, and then do highlights of what we're
Yeah.
planning. Because I know like ProStack, the park design, there's already a master plan for that, and that happened before Arts came on board. But I think that they might be interested in listening to or hearing some ideas that we might have if we wanted to incorporate art into the parks in the creek.
right, so when it's talking about regulations, I'd like for there to be, in this plan, vocabulary saying, we would like input, right? That's just part of what we do. We want input on anything new going into our community. So I don't know how, does that step on toes? How does that become part of the whole process?
Would that be part of the planning committee?
Yeah, the
that we would
planning
need?
committee, I don't know what piece that is, but I think that, I'd like to see that in the scope, so.
I think we're gonna have to, really tread our own path here, because we're also looking at placemaking. So some of these are just arts programs, and we're looking at placemaking with arts as a component, which is much broader. And that's why entry signs matter.
Yes.
Right? This typical arts committee may not get too concerned about entry signs or the signs, the store signs over at Superior Town Center.
But it goes back to the branding and the overall feeling. And interestingly enough, after that sign discussion, there is a Town of Superior sign. So when you're driving from Denver up 36, you catch it for a fleeting second. But it was the original Rock Creek sign. And when the metro districts were taken over, it became a Town of Superior sign. So there is an existing sign out there that will not match any of the other signs around. And so that's something to think about as well as we move forward. We thought Superior, Colorado was the way to go, and yet we do have some branding that says otherwise.
Okay.
But this is their actual plan that's come out of, this would be called their master plan essentially for it.
Yep.
Okay, so
This
this
would
would
be
be
the
a
end
finished
product.
doc. Okay.
And I can get you lots of end products.
So let's see that, that Roman numeral 3, opportunities. Yeah, I was going through, I know where that one is, I know where that one is.
Hey, welcome, Debbie. We signed you up for everything. You are now the chair of all the subcommittees.
That last sentence, that's exactly what we've been talking about for a year.
Instead of paving a sidewalk with concrete, the town might.
Functional whimsy.
Where's that?
It's the last sentence, go up a little bit.
The first paragraph.
The last sentence of the first paragraph.
Oh, functional. That says like introduce designs in the paper.
There you go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Vary the paving
It's very heavy on words, isn't it? I
Yeah,
sort of
isn't
like
it?
those pictures.
Well, and I think, like, if you look at our existing comprehensive plan, there's goals and then deliverables. And I like that way of approaching it, in a sense, you know, that we've got these overarching goals, and then these are the fine pieces that go with each goal.
Yeah, I like that too.
I'm gonna have to look at this.
But see, trails and paths, I mean, that's where we, you know, if we chose to add this to our master plan, that's where we want to be careful not to overreach.
Partner, but not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bus stops, I mean, those
Yeah,
are
they
huge
are.
opportunities for.
Yeah, if we're gonna do that, it'd be nice if you could get them where they're covered, so people aren't standing out in them.
They aren't covered right now?
Some are, some aren't. Some just have a sign that it's a bus stop.
Mantle.
I'm feeling really proud of ourselves because we have talked about all of this. Yeah, all on our own.
But it'd be nice to have a plan, because we're not
Yes,
gonna always be
yes.
here, and
So,
put some
Yeah.
weight behind that.
And we do want to acquire public art, not, you know, a lot too, so. That's where we need to create those bases around town, so pieces can sit on them and maybe rotate or,
Whether they're part of a permanent collection or whether they're
Yeah.
rotated, yeah, absolutely.
Well, and how much art does get donated, you know, that's a question, like in Loveland, you know, a lot of those, did they purchase in that sculpture garden? Some of those, are they, a lot of them donated?
I think it's like this, it's like a temporary public art. So the pieces are there and they can be bought at the end of the year. So Lafayette, I know, does a program where they have the pedestals around town, they put a call to artists, the artists submit, and then at the end of the year, they often purchase one of those pieces for their permanent collection. And then they do it again the next year.
So in the Loveland sculpture, those aren't permanent?
I don't know their
Yeah.
process for it, I just know that
Okay.
Lafayette does.
Got it.
I think Lafayette also does like a stipend for the time the art is up. And I
They might.
imagine a lot of them do
Yeah,
$1,000 for 2 years or something like that, or whatever.
no, I think you're right, I think that there is a small.
Oh, here they're talking about the percent for art. Seeing in that world.
how do we ensure that that's part of the stuff that is created in future here? That we get a percentage of whatever
The board would need to approve such a plan.
Yeah, it depends where it's coming from. If you expect it to come out from outside development projects, you know, for example, it would have been beautiful for the town center if we required it of every builder that came in to have a percent of something.
Yeah, that
donated to
1%,
the
wow.
public art fund, huh?
1% for
Yeah.
town center would have been amazing.
Yeah, but we do have $2 million in the plans for public art over there, so.
Well, mine is McCaslin,
Right.
right?
Minus, you mean the roundabout?
The roundabout on McCaslin,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Minus that 200,000, but, I mean, that's a significant amount of art.
All right, so how should we go forward?
real estate transfer funds?
Right.
Oh, a transfer tax.
Writing the RFP.
How do we go forward writing it?
Well-
yeah, or is the staff gonna do it, or are we gonna write it? or-
Actually, that's how, remember we were talking about Algonquin, Illinois, and one of the things that we were looking at? I think that Algonquin and Arlington Heights, Illinois do the real estate transfer tax, and public art is included in that.
Okay, so going back to what are our next steps? I think that staff is looking at writing the RFP.
We'll write it, yep.
And then we can, make sure it.
Or if you, why don't I do this? I'll continue to load documents into that Dropbox. Feedback on what you specifically want to capture, whether it's, the branding piece or it's all of it, is I think where we're ultimately going to land, that it's this like more holistic approach to branding, art, public spaces. I just want to make sure that we're capturing like the key must-haves, or if we want to have, I kind of like that idea of like, what is our ultimate goal with the document? Is it a guiding document in perpetuity, until we update it? Is it a vision document? Is it something that's going to have actionable items in it? So I think as we've looked through them, this one to me felt a little bit more, I don't know, informational. I think that this laid out a really good kind of groundwork for what this program is.
But it's not a roadmap.
But it's not a roadmap. So that's what I ultimately, I kind of look at it. I mean, gosh, we did the Parks and Rec Master Plan in 2005 and have had zero luck getting it updated. So think of this being a document that's going to kind of, what do we want it to serve for the next, years, and the purpose of, is it locating, is it finding opportunities? Is it, what do we want it to specify, I think is ultimately what I'd like to get to, and then that'll help me find the examples to kind of craft it together.
So Imagine 2020 was Denver's master planning, and their whole idea behind theirs was was a long-range visioning, and that might be something to look at. I mean, I know we don't compare to Denver, but I think their long-range vision versus a short-term 5-year master plan that you redo every 5 years. It would be nice to have a much longer roadmap somewhere in place.
So does that mean that there might be items in there that are kind of wish list items that we're hoping for the future, but we don't have really a plan to implement right now?
I would think so. I would think that there should be some part of that. I mean, it might be good. Have you guys ever looked at the town comprehensive plan? It might be worthwhile to look at an actual copy of that and see how that is laid out with the goals, and they break out specific areas and have, sort of a checklist of things that want to be accomplished, but also more broad visioning for the town. So I see broad visioning for the arts, because arts is always changing. There's always something new. I mean, the whole crosswalk component is hugely popular. The word public spaces is, it's a new buzzword, and how do we think about that now and hopefully, long range.
Yeah. Patrick mentioned, so when we were reading through Vales, and we had the one that you and Jane had, we've done Santa Rosa. I mean, there's been quite a few that we've actually gone through and looked at. So you're thinking Vales is more like kind of a roadmap versus we want more vision?
Yeah, I mean, when I read it, right, and granted, I'm a government junkie. Like, I'm more of the document writing kind of guy, right? To me, this looked a little bit more like, here's what our goals are, here's how we're going to accomplish it. Here's the locations that we want to make sure are always considered for art. So I think that for me, this gave a great, very big picture, broad stroke of this is what the town of Vail wants to accomplish, which I think it's a great
goals document. On how to accomplish.
I think it's a great document. I just want to make sure that this is the style of document that we
that we want to ultimately have.
You know,
But maybe
and I mean,
it's-
to Sandy's point, you know, what we always struggle with on the Parks and Rec side is, until we know, you know, what that brand is, you know, do we want to start this process with a brand discussion or a vibe discussion or a feeling discussion, and then back it up from there? You know, because I will say the one thing that I don't think we've done a good job on the Parks and Rec side is not having an up-to-date master plan. You start to piecemeal, and that I don't think is good.
Right.
And some examples of that are things like pickleball courts and skate parks without having a true vision or a true home, you know. So I think we've got great opportunity to get it right, and really, really capture, you know, what our big picture goals are, whether it's this long-term roadmap or it is something a little more, we want to accomplish these projects in these years or whatever the case may be.
Maybe you just incorporate both, like, you can have different sections, you know, short terms, this is what we'd like to accomplish in the next 5 years, and then here's some visioning for ideas for the future, you know?
Right, because I don't see the Arts District jumping off the page in the next 6 months or 2 years.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
probably-
definitely a long-term goal, kind
5
of.
to 10 years.
Right,
Vision.
Right.
vision, and it's gonna change shape dramatically, so what if the Marketplace, Marshall Road switches, you know, where it goes through? So all of that will change, so that's where we want the broad brushstroke. So this is our idea for that, then incorporating it, going through, you know, Grasso Park, Asti Park, and under the tunnel and into the downtown Superior area eventually. And again, that's a long-term vision as well.
I fear if we, this is a great document, but I almost fear it's way too much to bite off. I think this is a goal to be worked towards, because think of what keeps this group motivated. It's a combination of visioning and execution, right? That is a hell of a lot of work, sort of brainiac work. You guys get really charged up by artistic pursuits and whatnot, so do both. How can you both work towards the establishment of a long-term plan, but with these short-term things that keep you and the community motivated and show continuous results?
Right. And then the
Because-
short-term thing is
Yeah.
constantly
Right.
rotating depending on the, you
Right.
know, so we've got our mural up and in 5 years it starts to come apart. So do we redo that or do we take it down and do another project? So I think
So
that's what we
actually,
want to have open.
what Patrick said sort of rang a bell with me, that we need to, this person we hire, it's going to have an interesting set of job skills, because we do need the branding discussion. And I do think that's the overriding thing. What is it we want, what impact do we want to have on that? Okay, once you've got that impact and it's got the board's buy-in, then a lot of these projects fall naturally in that. So producing a longer-term document while also in the short term having that branding discussion right now, rather than waiting till the end of the year when we've got this document and it says our first priority will be branding, which means that it's delayed a year before we even start this discussion. So,
I like that, and Claire's brought up branding a fair amount. I mean, how important that is.
it's
And
got
I-
to start right
Well, and I
now.
would agree with Patrick, again, at whatever path, I have not familiar with it, but whatever path Parks and Rec took, you're right, it's like, oh, we want a skateboard park, so now we're gonna do that. But how does that fit in with the whole vision? How does pickleball courts fit in? Because it's almost like you have this discussion and then it's abandoned or something that doesn't really fit into a whole path of where we want to be going. So I just think that's so important.
There is a lot of benefit to being ahead of the conversation as opposed to being reactionary. And like I harped on my staff big this year, this was the year of the process, right? Like we get caught with our pants down when we don't have something formally established, and
just, so you know, that's why it's great, you're in that chair right now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Because you bring that umbrella, right? So you can't leave. You must stay.
He's gonna be in that chair for life.
I'm not letting you go. But having said all that about Parks and Rec, the overriding feature that goes to the branding thing is the high quality of our parks. I mean, they're beautiful. It's not like we've skimped or whatnot, but going forward, for example, to practice what we preach about having wonderful, clever playground equipment that are art pieces, right? So that your art is incorporated in the day-to-day play. You're spending the money anyway, you may as well make it clever and artistic while you're at it. But that's what you need to keep them there. Anyway, so, but I think this branding discussion and trying to figure out how to bring it to we need to do it, then we need to bring it to the board and get the enthusiasm, much the same way you accomplish that big piece of art out there. If we do that and have some of the bones of the art master plan in place and get it all done in this year, I think that's a great accomplishment.
You mean in 2019?
I mean, yeah, 2019.
Oh my gosh,
In
not
the
4
coming
weeks from
year.
now.
This year, yes.
Yeah.
Hurry up. See, that's what you missed by coming late.
But
You're
that's
in
why,
charge.
but the unique set of job skills that has, a person who might be good at putting together an arts master plan may not even have any concept of branding. So if we are really interested in branding, and if that's going to play a key role in this, it will decide.
Well, that's part of the
Who we-
RFP,
who
I
we
would say,
pick.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I can say my comment then.
I just want to ask a question because I haven't been involved in all the discussions, and that is, it sounds to me like what I'm hearing right now is that it's an art master plan. Is that what it is? Or is it
Cultural
more
arts master
it's
plan,
a
we keep
cultural
dropping
art.
off the word
Okay, so
cultural,
you're using those two words
Yeah.
synonymously. Okay,
Right.
that helps a lot because I was a little confused because the Vail thing seemed very much like art,
Just
places around town and as opposed to other kinds of arts that might include,
Well,
concerts or something like that, which did not seem to be in there, but you're talking about everything.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly, and
I'm
honestly,
just clarifying for me.
I think museum and library fit in that as well. I mean, again, not wanting to step on toes, but those are part of the cultural arts in this town. And, you know, we don't currently have a library, but I've heard lots of people wanting some form of library. Is it a satellite? Is it this? You know, is it not tenable? But I do think that that's part of the discussion within our master plan.
it's all of it. You know,
That- I just
visual
want
arts,
clarification.
performing
Thank you.
arts, literary arts, food arts. I mean, it's that whole thing.
So, and I did want to mention, I went to the Northwest Area Planning Meeting on
Right.
Tuesday at lunch, and was very happy to hear the lady, I don't know her name, but she talked about, she used the term plazification. That came out of our committee. And she had read the article that you forwarded to her, so I was really excited to hear that. And she talked about incorporating some plazas into the, you know, design for Superior Marketplace. I was really excited about that. And then also she did talk about signage too. Yeah, you know, not big monumental signs, but like banners and stuff like that, you know, because some shopping areas that kind of have that and it sort of defines the shopping area, and that might be a way to have kind of like sub-neighborhood brands. Like one of the discussions was how do we, if we're kind of have some similar goals, how do we differentiate between downtown and Superior Marketplace? And maybe they kind of have little different sub-brands or different neighborhood feels or something like that, you know? So anyways, I was very happy to hear that they are incorporating that concept.
Did they talk about like banners from poles or anything like that?
Yeah, that kind of
'Cause there's-
thing,
I mean,
like
because
on
that would be
lights, on
nice if
street
we,
lights.
for the main event, if they're willing and open
Yep.
to doing, or figuring out a way to have banners there, that would definitely help marketing and advertising.
Mm-hmm.
So Patrick, do you have enough input to proceed
Yep.
in any way, or would you like us to keep
talking.
I'll,
Can we,
Because we can.
Yeah.
do they capture this up here, the 2 to 5?
right, so I think this is a good start. You know, we've got kind of some need for a 2 to 5 year actionable, more creative, a little bit more fun, executable. And then I also heard, but on the back end, making sure that we've got some long-term vision in terms of maybe location identification. You know, and then I think these have always been the creative elements, right? The branding, art, events, signage, library. So yeah, I think we've got some capturable stuff here. I put the comp plan, I just moved it over to that Dropbox account.
Okay.
It does actually only look like 2 people access that account, so I'll
The
resend
Dropbox,
it.
did you send something out? Yeah.
But what I tried
Okay.
to do is, you know, we created the caps at Superior, Colorado, which should go to everybody.
Okay.
And I'm not sure that was the best way for me to do it. I think some
So-
of you probably got it, and some of you didn't.
Okay.
I got it, I just couldn't access it. It said,
Yeah, me too.
it said I needed permission, so it was viewing
Maybe
me
restricted
as,
or whatever.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll just send it individually, and then I'll put the comp plan in there.
For access to Dropbox, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then I think what I'll do is, I've got a bunch of samples just saved on my computer that I've been looking at.
Okay.
And maybe I'll just start throwing those in there. And, you know, we won't reinvent the wheel. What we typically do is on scopes, we'll start to copy and paste things that are plausible for our situation, and then we'll kind of tweak it as we
But
go.
do we all have access to add things into files on that?
So here, we had an ongoing discussion, which unfortunately, to some extent, has to like involve the legalities of it. If you have documents you want in there, send them to me,
Okay.
and I'll immediately drop them in there.
Okay.
I'm not overly concerned about it, but I think that there's a need to have.
That's just a
good
process
control.
thing.
Yeah,
So-
that way, because we're doing this for each committee, and we've got 25 kids on the youth advisory committee, and so I don't know if we want everything just being dropped in there. But if you find stuff, just send them to me, and I'll just automatically kind of rubber stamp it.
All right.
Well, and you'll organize it by folders. I mean, I'm sort of anal that way in terms of like, you know, there's within
Making
the
your OCD
Dropbox.
match my OCD.
Yeah, can we please?
I'll put some,
Okay.
I'll put some notes around. Yeah.
So where do we go for over the next couple months then, with the master plan?
He's gonna work on the RFP component.
Okay.
They'll be putting like master plans like the Vale one, Louisville one, and Claire's been doing some research. Karen just was showing me bullet points from stuff, and I think with that the RFP is one thing, and is what we want that person to develop in the master plan, so
So it's RFP first.
right, exactly.
Yeah, and if you guys, so whatever our December or Jan, we'll meet December, right?
We will,
Maybe.
it's tough, it's gonna be hard finding a date that'll work for us, but.
So by December, we need like our must-haves.
So a goal and
Yeah.
the major components.
The
that we
major,
feel
like, we
are
absolutely need this
critical
document to
that
contain.
these people help us design.
Yeah.
Should we have a subcommittee meeting?
Yeah, we can definitely do that,
Yeah, so
yeah.
we need to have it dedicated to just.
Yeah, because if we're accumulating all these other towns, basically cultural arts master plans, and if I find something I really like and highlight it, and, you know, each one of us finds something that looks really amazing, then we'll need to sit down and bring it kind of like all together, and if you're sending examples of this is what they look like, how they did the subcategories, I mean, there's a lot involved with that.
Right, right, yeah. We have a lot of work ahead of us.
We do.
Okay, so let's move on. Does anyone else have questions about this process and what we're trying to accomplish? Okay. Element Hotel proposed art, so pretty cool that they actually have come forward and are proposing art. doesn't look like we have much input, but it's nice to see
Yeah.
that there will be art. And also nice that they actually, they went and researched and they brought something that was relatively pertinent to this area.
Yeah, I agree.
The bison?
Their bison, those are cool.
CU buffs.
Yeah.
And I drove home the other day and looked at the ones that they have in Anthem Ranch, and I think they're differentiated enough. We wanted to make sure it doesn't look too much like something existing in the corridor. Or
Oh, yeah.
So I think we're size-wise and shape-wise,
Oh, yeah.
it's pretty different.
Aren't anthems more two-dimensional?
Yeah.
Like
They
these
are.
And
have
they're not
the-
nearly that big.
That's big.
Big buffalo.
Is that
Big
something
buff.
that children of people who are staying there could climb on?
No, I was trying to gauge, so here's,
Be dangerous.
I think this is generally, so it looks to me like it's probably gonna be on a 3-foot pedestal with landscape.
So not something.
No, I'm sure they'll try it though.
I just
Not
remember
recommended.
what my brothers were like.
Looks like you could get.
Yeah, that's almost cool at the wall, like over in Wildflower Park.
No climbing on the buffalo.
Although, so that would be, you said a 3-foot pedestal, so they'll be about 3 feet long?
It actually says it's like 16 feet.
Yeah, I mean, I
If you
think,
go back and look at that.
to me, my guess is it's gonna be on something.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be ground mounted. To me, at least the samples that they sent us, it's gonna be mounted on top of something within a landscape.
Even the rabbit,
Okay.
if you go back to the rabbit, wherever that weird one is. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, it's on a piece of concrete.
If I could make any recommendation, it would be that it not be on poured concrete.
I would
That it
agree. I was just thinking the
actually-
exact same
It's so
thing.
big and everything, it seems to me like it can just be on a piece of.
Just be on the ground,
granite
yeah.
Or something like that, a little more natural.
It kind of depends on the location of where they put it too.
Yeah,
Like,
that's gonna
that's
hurt.
on the sidewalk
Yeah.
there.
I'm glad
But you're
we
right,
don't-
with natural, with boulders and some
I'm
grass and
glad
stuff.
we don't have a rabbit.
It's really
No,
weird.
we needed the.
And they put benches around there so you can stare at it and contemplate it.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes, that's what our hotel's gonna look like.
We were talking about, I think that these pieces do lend themselves to like, you're a visitor, you're gonna go out and take your picture by it real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're odd enough, they're kind of fun enough. And we figure if you're coming in town, you're catching the CU game, you're definitely gonna check it out.
Is it just one?
It is just.
So like the rabbit, instead of the rabbit, will be the buffalo.
But maybe there's just real live rabbits running around.
Well, there probably will be.
Okay, well, that's good. Great.
Yes.
Do we know the location of it? Where
You know,
it is?
I'll double check and then I'll,
It'd be good to see, and even if we could make a tiny recommendation that it be not on concrete or.
not on concrete.
And maybe a couple benches.
I mean, if you
around
go
it.
back to the size, it's 16 feet, it's taller, it's gotta be 12 or something feet high because the people in the back, yeah.
Well, let me open it and see if I can enlarge it.
Yeah, so those people are
To
72
me, it can
inches,
be
6
just
feet high.
right in the earth.
25.
But it would be cool if you had a couple of benches, because if you think about it, you're waiting to meet your friends, or you're gonna catch the bus into the game or something like that. If you had, I'm assuming the hotel will put benches or
Well, and if there's a
something
bench,
out
then they'll be
there.
likely to climb on the bench and not
Well,
the.
the one with the rabbit actually looked like that's what that concrete seating is.
Yeah.
That little thing in front.
The mounting on,
What it was sitting on was also a place to sit.
yeah.
So it's like
That's the
8
way
to
it
10
would be
feet
today.
high.
Well, they even make
Oh,
those
there are
boulders that
benches.
look
Yeah,
like,
they're definitely.
yeah. They make benches that look like sandstone, like in the front of the AMC Theater.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, looks like it has a blade.
Yeah.
I'm very glad we don't have.
Isn't that really a sad looking rabbit?
Although it's not a good picture of it, so we don't.
You might look better from the front.
Yeah.
That may be where there are some sports teams that have jackrabbit or whatever.
Jackalope.
The fish is cool though.
Yeah,
I like the fish.
I like the bison, that is really cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
There we go.
Yeah. So he's 15 feet long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just see kids crawling right through that summer
Mhm.
home.
Yep.
So whether they want
Well,
it or
or
not.
again, taking their picture with, you know, their heads
Their head
kicking
sticking
through the
out
hole.
buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with that, that's great.
That's really, that's long, right? 15.5.
160.
Near 9.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
Bison.
Bison are big. Okay, anyone have any more thoughts on the Elements Hotel? Marcia will be glad to know they're doing something. Yay.
And Patrick, you get back to the powers that be at the hotel.
Yeah, so the FTP's approved. What I
Okay.
can do is follow up on what the surface is, and then when we get the construction drawing,
Okay.
I guess if we tell them not to pour concrete, they're not gonna pour concrete. So if we tell them to put it in grass bed, it's probably cheaper.
Probably, yeah.
So unless they have a real strong reason to mount it on something, I don't think they would.
Or even in different.
I'll check though. I don't know the
Yeah, on a
location
rock
off the top of
bed.
my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something.
Something that looks like a buffalo almost in the prairie with the grasses.
Yeah.
Buffaloes belong on the prairie, yeah, not on the concrete.
Okay, last item before updates is the 2019 annual work plan. So we know we have a lot to do this year, and one of the things I was thinking about is we've talked a lot about the main event. We haven't obviously pinpointed every detail of that, but we've talked a lot about it. We haven't really had an opportunity to look at and talk about our pop-up events. So I created just some worksheets, and again, they're just starting places, but I thought it might be fun to break into smaller groups. People that are interested in the Prairie Dog pop-up could talk about prairie dogs, the utility boxes could do utility boxes, and the line dancers could talk about the line dancing. The one question I have to Patrick about the utility boxes is, do you know if we can do any and all utility boxes in town, or are we limited to only certain ones? And if you don't know that, that's fine. Just we need to get
I'll
that
touch base with
information.
Alex.
Who owns those, Patrick? Yeah.
I think some are
Some are
owned by,
Excel.
yeah.
You know, the big, like I'm thinking of the big one in the original town we got. Remember when that?
Yeah.
That was Excel, not ours.
Okay.
Also, that's a good question.
Yeah, we
I'll
just
ask.
need to know, and like, there's like 10 of them up by Founders Park, and they're all different sizes and shapes, so it started me thinking like, which ones do we want to be more consistent and pick a size kind of thing? So those are just thoughts and questions. So if that's okay with you guys, I just thought it would be kind of fun to sit and
Do
brainstorm.
we need
and-
to look at the last year, that 2019 plan?
The work plan?
Yeah,
We could look at it, sure, yeah, to go over.
I don't know, or what's.
I mean, I think on the work plan, so what we had done last year at this time is we were still finalizing our work plan. And we've done all that work, we did it
It's
2
fine,
months
it's good,
ago.
it's in good shape.
I think so.
Yeah, I had understood from Kate that you guys.
I think so, why don't we go ahead and bring it up, that's a good question, and take a final look at it before we break out, but I felt like we were in a really good
Because
place.
this is it, when you give it to the board, that's what you're gonna be authorized to do.
Yeah.
And if there's anything you wanna be authorized to do that's not on it, that's really what I wanted you to read it for. Make sure
We have these,
everything you want permission to do is on there.
And I do think, to Chris's point, I do think we have the crosswalk follow-up. So there is something on our work plan that addresses continuing the program and
There you go,
expanding it.
2019 work.
There it is.
Now, is this in Dropbox? These kinds of things, or
I
is
do
this just?
believe I dropped, let me check really quickly, but I believe I put it in there. Yes, it's in there.
Okay.
Okay, so first quarter. When does what?
when does the second quarter begin?
Drive.
April, I think.
You can just scroll up and
Okay.
down.
So we're gonna do more crosswalk art next
So
year.
maybe that'll be our priority for the crosswalk art.
I think so. I think we all liked it and thought it was,
Well, we're gonna request that the town do more of the physical labor of it.
we're gonna hope that there
Like,
was.
we would hope that they would do that.
So in first quarter, did we have, there, good, Plan for Dow, Bloomberg related
Mhm.
events?
And those two events, we thought would correspond with the installation of the piece.
Do we need to add maybe the, event for unveiling the mural, that maybe can take place?
I'm assuming you're covering that, looks like the mural's on the
Oh.
agenda.
There, I have those rings.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna quickly run to my office
Yeah.
and I totally forgot.
Okay,
I'll be
good.
right back.
Is his office here?
Oh, I was like, where's he going? He's literally gonna run over to the sports
Across the street, maybe?
Do we need those rings?
Well, actually, you wanna look at them, you wanna see the,
Oh, he's gone.
I don't want this blinding.
Shiny stuff.
right, so
And the
he went to go
rest
get,
are
he went to go get the
okay.
ring. He needed a little
I
exercise
thought we'd
anyway.
already seen it, but, okay, so, somebody was saying something very relevant here.
Clear.
So should we add our mural unveiling in 2018 if it looks like it
Yeah,
might,
when's the
might
mural
take
gonna
place
go in?
then?
Yeah, did you guys talk about, I mean, I see it later on the agenda.
Well, we just briefly talked about, because Angela was here with her son Nicholas, and they brought us up, which you should
Oh,
pass down.
cute.
Thank you. And we talked about where things are at. The framework is going up hopefully tomorrow, and then that way it can get painted and varnished, and then all the pieces put up.
Oh, so this year.
And we hope that will be next week?
I'm hoping, that's what
Okay.
I talked, it was supposed to go up last week, and it didn't. And I said, you know, it would be really nice, I noticed the weather's really good next
It
week.
is really nice next
And
week.
it would be nice to have that opportunity to go outside and,
Wow.
put some boards up.
So possibly
So-
December then maybe?
It, you know, it could correspond with, Count the Lights, like we could do Count the Lights.
They're
and
not
then-
doing
Or not Count the Lights, but Skate with Santa and go over to, but maybe that's too much, because it is a far distance from, it's farther from Sports Stable than it is from, like, just going over by, Superior Liquor and walking down.
So we're hoping it might be done in 3 weeks.
Pretty soon then.
Right.
I would maybe modify 1A under second quarter to say pick a design, not necessarily easy in there. Just pick a design that Public Works can take over.
Oh, pick a design, yeah.
Yeah.
They are very competent, and I don't want to let them off the hook too easily.
Do we want to expand it from crosswalk to also include intersections?
Intersections, yeah.
Crosswalks
Yeah.
and intersections?
And intersection.
But if we're doing intersections, that may not necessarily be the maintenance people who are public works people.
Public Works or organized groups.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna make sure we get that PTO group involved.
Yeah. I'm ready, I'm ready.
It's actually very fun. I mean, the community component of it was really fun in
Yeah.
Westville.
And they're holding up really well on that corner by Target.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I'm surprised that they're doing as well as they are.
See, I don't see that when I see the one over near Wildflower
Okay.
Park, but
I'm so excited about this grand unveiling in the intersection. I was asked the question, by the way, where is it about early on finalizing the landscaping for the intersection?
So one of the thoughts, somebody had posed this to me, that the landscaping, and I tried to get a picture before all the flowers died, because there were roses and black-eyed Susans and a lot of nice stuff out there. Leave what's in there in place and then focus on landscaping after the sculpture goes up. I would suggest, though, all of the tall grasses go. So the outer ring with the roses and the other flowers and the other
They have the Fitzers.
perennials.
There's a lot of, because
Not in the center. Aren't the Fitzers like?
they're kind of around the edges.
Just Matt had posed to me in a meeting about something else, about possibly just leaving this, and I said,
Leaving the existing landscaping.
He goes, well, I didn't want it to go well, and I said, no, it was sort of slapped, it was slapped in there. We don't want slapped in their landscaping. I said, we may be able to use some of the materials, but again, we wanted this thing with boulders, sort of, leading your eye out,
Something that
et cetera, et cetera. I
enhances.
think you've got a good plan there about doing it, committing to it after the piece is up.
Yeah.
Because any landscape architect will be much more successful working with it in place, which will be very doable.
Yeah, and
So
it'll
I
be
think
interesting to
that's good.
see what gets destroyed in the
Yes, so
process
much will
too.
be destroyed.
Right,
Yeah.
and frankly, I'm not a fan really of all those rose bushes anyway, that are in that whole area. It just seemed to me like they were dumped there, rather than,
Yeah, no, it's funny.
Planned.
There's some that were in founders that didn't last. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened to
Well,
them really.
up there in the first quarter, under 6, we're talking about planning for Dow. Is that where you want to also indicate maybe something about the landscaping?
I think her plan though is afterwards, after the grand.
It would be after, so
So
it would
in the
be
second-
That would be second quarter.
Grand
Do we have it in there?
unveiling of Dow's work, so.
Oh, I didn't see number 4 there.
Landscape.
Sorry.
And determination.
Yeah, 5, yeah, and determination of landscaping.
Determination, landscape after sculpture
Installation,
installation.
yeah.
Determine.
Landscape. After.
Because then you can kind of live with it for a while and.
There's
Well,
not a rush.
we have
There's
that
no rush.
proposal that we were given, so
Yeah.
we'd like to have her come to a meeting afterwards, right?
Yeah, I just, some of it seemed somewhat premature because, I mean, for one thing, you're looking at it going down and we really need to look at it going this way.
Sure.
I mean, we realized, with that center drive roundabout, those tall grasses just overwhelmed those horses. And
Yeah.
I think that was a good catch, yeah, we don't want landscape obscuring the specifically selected pediments and such.
Right, why cover them up?
Yeah.
Those are going to be so cool.
Maybe have grasses in between,
So I don't know if we want to say paint a prairie dog or if we just want to just be more vague. I mean, I think the prairie dogs will get painted, but what if we do something, I don't know how specific we need to be, but.
They can be covered with mosaic
Yeah,
or
they can be,
Design a prairie dog.
yeah, maybe design a prairie dog, there you go, thank you.
Craft a prairie dog out of candy corn.
Anything you'd like. So this is where we landed on dates for the main events, and I know we were still throwing that up in the air. Should we leave it dates to be determined?
Where are you?
Right here under two.
Oh,
two
okay,
summer and
solidify
one
dates.
fall.
Okay. What approval process do we need to go through with Superior Marketplace? Who does that? How does it happen? Who do we ask permission from?
Yeah, Brooks.
Oh, Patrick does it all? Okay.
We say we're gonna have a consultant to help us work on the.
Patrick and the staff?
Yeah, so the new staff person and possibly if we hire somebody to run the main event, that person
They can figure that out.
would do some of that figuring out.
All that legwork and permission and,
Mhm.
okay.
So are you guys okay with leaving it as 2 summer, 1 fall, or do we want to
Yeah.
change that?
Yeah,
I like that.
Okay.
we're not stuck with a time, because they'll also need to work with, when it's a good time, we're not competing with somebody else.
Yeah.
Does that,
Maybe we
I mean,
still have
execute
something
first and second quarter items.
That was where,
Do-
that was when Kevin was here, we were telling her.
So we talked about actually jump-starting this branding discussion. but we don't have that.
We have it under ongoing, continue to cultivate brand and sense of place for the town.
Yeah, but.
Do you want to move it into an action item in the, I mean, I sort of see it as,
Where is the artist
Yeah, where,
registry?
it was down there in
It's in
fourth
the
quarter.
ongoing as well.
Yeah, there it is.
That has got to be done by mid-year, don't you think?
that would be really nice, but you know, part of it is finding the time. We're so busy
Can we
doing
do
other
third
things.
quarter? Can we actually put it in third quarter, make sure artist registry has been completed by now?
Yeah.
Well, and didn't we have a discussion somewhere that there's someone at a town level that could, like, if I send over artist so-and-so, there's somebody at the town level that can
The town,
incorporate that
yes.
into the
We put too
artandsuperior.com?
much pressure on ourselves. At one point,
Yeah.
we thought we had to do everything, but that's not the case.
Well, and I found a plugin that seems to work, but I need to have time to do it. And honestly, you know, I also need to find time to actually do my work. And so,
Well,
you know,
but
stuff
I don't
keeps
think
getting.
you have to do it. I think you just give it to him, and he'll explain the
I'll
staff.
give
to
somebody
you.
else.
Yeah. And that person will give
Yeah,
it
I
to
see
somebody
how-
else.
That's how that's gonna roll.
There are also,
We can either think or we can do. Now, come on.
Did you?
There are also some tools that allow the public to enter their own information.
And that is the plan, and that's the plugin that I
okay.
bought. So it's a WordPress site, and it's a plugin that goes with that, and it creates a community.
Got
But it doesn't do everything that I need, and then things were kind of, I need to spend some time with it to make sure it actually does what we need. And you might have a plugin or a tool that actually works better, so a recommendation for one.
Yeah, I know there's one, they're based in Denver, called MetaLocator. They do that. It's like a database.
So they build it
Map-based.
to,
You have to, they have all kinds of different ways you can configure it, and you can include whatever information you want or not. I'm happy to like look over it with you and see if it would work for
Okay.
what you guys want to do.
Yeah, it might save you that work.
I don't see this as that difficult, because how many names do we think we'll have in this at max, like 200? Are you thinking 2,000?
Oh, I think it could be 1,000.
I think it could be, I mean, I think it's any type of art. I think musicians, you know, if you've got, you know, people that are violinists and cello, you know, they're individual artists.
Patrick, would you weigh in on this? How hard is putting together a registry of all the talent in any company in this area?
My first response is gonna be, we've got like $150,000, so I'm sure we can figure out some way to do it.
Right.
Town website, I would put it on the town using brand the vision. But I think that there's gotta be a creative way.
Easy way. It doesn't, this seems actually quite doable.
I wouldn't, I agree there, I think we figure
So
out
I think
how to outsource
Daryl-
it, or
Here's your man.
as we, you know, we don't have the stuff to do it now, we don't have like an IT person, but we figure it out.
There's $150,000 budget for it?
Well, no, not for that, no.
Oh, for the whole, okay. so like-
it's gonna be an amazing registry.
Yeah, this is gonna be the world's biggest art
It's our
registry.
registry robot that comes to your house.
You're really,
No, it's,
Yeah, that's what we
The
were.
whole-
Okay, so on our registry, when we think about our current method of whatever, we do the Superior Sentinel every month, in which we could have a call talk for artists to sign
Yeah,
up.
and we've got.
And we have postcards we get out, Parks and Rec
Yeah.
mailing, and those postcards we put out all the time for Chili Fest and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we could pull off a corner of that to say, artists, sign up here, et cetera, et cetera. So do we need to put that on this, Patrick, that we utilize all existing means of communication to draw names?
I think so.
Track names for the, so would we put that on under ongoing?
So currently we have the artist registry under ongoing.
Okay, maybe you put a period there and say utilize all town mailings
or communication.
and town communication methods.
How about next door on Facebook? Does
Yeah.
Town Superior have Facebook
Oh, yeah.
page?
Yep.
Does CAPS have a Facebook page?
No, but we do have a website.
Well, and that's where the artist
think I've been
registry
there.
would go, right?
Communication.
artandsuperior.com.
To solicit
Yes.
entries,
Right.
solicit, to attract participation.
To attract.
To attract from sure. And we want to make sure that it's all cultural arts, that they don't just think visual arts, that we
Right.
have music and
Yeah.
literature, whatever that might be,
Yeah.
all cultural arts.
Yeah, and ideally too, then eventually at, you know, 4th of July or Chili Fest, we can have an iPad where they can sign up right there too. And at least get started on the process of getting, because I see them, you know, an artist can put in their, information, contact information, website, you know, how to, and then maybe a picture of their art or a clip of their music. I mean, that's the one area where it's not quite straightforward, because I would love to hear a piece of music or a written piece of work that somebody had, would be available.
Well, good, it sounds like Patrick has some ideas that could,
And with Cindy's help, hopefully.
But do we want to have that, like Sandy said,
Up
to
as an
have
action
been
item?
completed by the third quarter, or at least?
I think it should be somewhere in one of the quarters, not just ongoing, because if it's ongoing, even if we only have 20 artists by the end of the fourth quarter,
You can leave it there, but have, in third quarter, have completed the Superior Art Registry.
oh, okay.
Well, I don't think it's ever a completed document, because you've got new people coming in and.
Yeah.
Well, how
looking
about
out and-
complete setup for?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Good to see you again.
We'll volunteer you for a lot more afternoons.
Bye.
Is that better?
Complete.
Is she the Open Studios person?
Complete, thank you.
Sandy
Yes.
Sepuko. Okay.
She also sits on, she's president of the Boulder County Arts Alliance Board.
Right.
Where does she live?
Over off of Marshall,
Actually,
isn't it? Isn't it off of Marshall?
I thought it was East Boulder County somewhere, unincorporated,
what?
where Cindy lives.
Her kids go to Heatherwood, so somewhere in that area.
Okay.
Okay. Looks
And
pretty
just
good.
so I understand, we're good allocating some of the funds from that, will be that cultural arts line for next year to have a framework put together? As long as it's not
Mhm.
obscene, I'll make sure I
Yeah.
communicate to you guys what that dollar amount is.
Actually, it's,
Well, and there, actually, so initially there is 500, part of it is $500. That was for the domain and that kind of thing. And so there is a small amount in there that is
Yeah.
allocated toward that.
complete, how about framework? Or
Where are you saying that?
third quarter, number 2 for the artist registry.
Complete framework?
Complete the framework or something like that for the Superior Art, I mean, 'cause we're talking that
Criteria,
nitty gritty
framework.
structure or whatever. That we need to have it on the website, the artandsuperior.com, the framework for just the Superior Art
What do I call
Registry.
that,
Yes, thank you, Jesus. And do we need to put it as a cultural arts registry?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I guess we change it to that.
Not that it's a big deal, but I think that you want to have people.
Wireframe, that's the other word.
So I need to follow up on that.
Is that what you're looking
Wireframe design?
Wireframe is a technical term for the.
Okay.
However you make this work.
It's like the
work
outline.
around the mural.
It's a wireframe.
Yeah, no, encoding wireframing is the, you know,
The structure we have to
essentially.
put the artists in.
Yeah. Or you want to say cultural
Well,
arts?
something so that people don't think it's just, a lot of people, when they think of art, think painting or something like that. We want it to be music and literature
Yeah.
and dance and,
So cultural arts registry versus artist registry, maybe? Arts registry.
Okay, like that.
Okay, and then we should go change that.
cute, the girls' preschool over here at Superior Learning Academy, they had like a fall program. I'm sitting there with literally probably 50 parents in that tiny little room going, we need a community space somewhere.
So here's a question that I have. Patrick brought up the $150,000. So not that we have to spend the additional $50,000 on a specific thing, and maybe the main events are gonna cost more than we think, or the utility boxes, we don't really know. So there's some wiggle room there. But is there a particular project or desire that people have for utilizing some of that money? Like maybe we talked about designating pad spaces for future sculpture. Do we actually designate pad spaces and purchase a sculpture this year and have that be the beginning of, I know we don't have our master plan, but we all know we love art, and so I don't think it would really be a bad thing.
Well, we also talked about the need to move the coal carts.
Yes.
Those do have to, according to Matt Magley, they have to stay in the marketplace. We can't move them out of the marketplace.
But they're so hidden, if they could move them somewhere.
Within the marketplace.
Well, you mentioned the plazafication. Would
Right.
be great if they had a big plaza and those were in it.
And those were in it, and the kids could
Yes,
climb on it and
exactly.
play,
Yeah,
and.
I like the idea though of creating the pads,
I
but
do too.
pads that we could move, because we don't know yet where exactly they're going to go.
Because
I'm
I
like-
thought, yeah, because I thought that they, when we talked to, what's his face from downtown Superior, that was one of his ideas, is having pads put around downtown Superior and having
Bill
rotating.
Jenks.
Yeah,
But
Bill
doesn't
Jenks.
that mean that we are site selecting with a purpose, so that we're not,
Yeah.
so that we have the, purchasing these pads, but we're establishing site selection for where they go? That's simultaneous.
Somewhat, yeah. And actually, that's not a bad idea. Downtown Superior is a dirt pile. And if we could get them to agree for some pads along Main Street or something, art in construction areas is much more inviting to look at than the dirt and the mess
True.
that's out there.
True.
Maybe economically enticing.
Yeah, maybe.
But it might be something that we just have to, spend our own, but eventually downtown Superior is our Superior too,
I
So-
love that idea, but I fear it might be a little premature. When we talk about branding and bringing in the arts district, our vision was trying to link downtown to this potential arts district to the new Northwest Parkway. So I think in the future, there would be some obvious places that the new, who are we hiring? Consultant. That the consultant would help. Yeah, I knew it was a cuss word.
Well, and if we're talking about branding before we actually move to the specifics of the master plan, does hiring a branding vision expert, does that cost money? Or do we just go on what we have as a kind of a gut feeling? So out of that extra 50,000, do you need to hire somebody that really does branding and vision?
Well, we can just put that in the RFP and
See what
if we get
happens.
somebody with this.
I
Somebody,
would
a
like it,
branding oriented.
Right, yeah.
To those
So I,
Person to begin with.
I would like it to fit in with that personally and not spend additional money. I'd rather spend money on arts and programs than.
So the person that is the consultant for the master plan would then have the skills to be able to incorporate the branding and the vision into the master plan
Yes.
without,
Yes.
that person can
Yes.
do both.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
that
would
would be
be
the
my
ideal.
yeah.
Okay.
Those are just ideas that they put into it, that, they're, yeah.
In a matter of fact, the person, I think the successful applicant has much more of a branding. This person does not have to be an artist. This person has to have an affinity for branding and affinity for aesthetics and performance and that kind of stuff. But the person doesn't necessarily have to be, it's-
Yeah, they wouldn't have to be artists.
It's how to create great communities.
Well, the person
Right.
in Trinidad that got the was head of their Cultural Arts Council. Did you guys meet her when we went to the?
Meeting.
Okay,
We were in Trinidad.
right. Well, but I mean, the woman is pretty amazing who has organized that whole Trinidad. They're doing the whole Main Street and this whole cultural arts district that the state of Colorado is funding, what, $10 million
Yeah.
or some such thing? And I
Has
mean,
really transformed.
and she was not an artist. She was probably almost like an urban planner for the
Right,
arts or
that's
something.
right.
Well, and I agree. I think it's not necessarily an artist. I think
Right.
their vision is a little
Is
bit
urban planning almost.
narrower
or-
than the focus that we really want to look at, especially if we want to include.
It is
artists.
more the urban planning.
Mhm.
You know, we want somebody with a proven track record of putting together this cool vision we want for other communities. And they're gonna have to show they can put the vision and they can show that the end result has turned out to be pretty darn spectacular. You know, this is a big budget.
There's an eco devo piece to it too, economic development.
Mhm.
A lot of those, you look at places like North Glen, who've gone through a rebranding and an imaging. I mean, those things are all really kind of closely tied together. So I don't know, for the branding, to me, I guess I always envisioned that's at some point the board. You know what I mean? Like there's a board element to it. There's an economic development.
The board's
element
gonna
to
have to
it. There's a
approve.
planning.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think the person's gonna have to be pretty dynamic.
So, and what we've talked about is having, incorporating community meetings into this, and the board would participate in those. Community meetings and then meetings with the board. This is really, really substantial. So is that all,
That's all in first.
is that all
order.
reflected in here?
Yeah, work with a consultant design process, with community and stakeholder involvement, master plan. Well, should we say cultural arts master?
Under
plan?
number 4, yeah.
So if we talk must-have by that next meeting, I think this is what we need to ultimately make sure we kind of flesh out.
Okay, so work with consultant to define and execute process.
Yeah, and I think we should change number 5 to,
Plan for the 3.
well, not include possible development, we actually need.
Yeah.
We need the RFP to get.
I was just gonna say the same thing. We have to have the RFPs for both the
So,
main events.
Actually, Patrick,
Yeah, I think
Oh,
you're
you
looking
covered that
to-
already? Okay.
Well, you're just two different stratospheres.
Okay.
I
and,
think we're good. I think sorry. go.
well, I was just gonna say, I think it's possible that the cultural arts person
Yeah.
takes that on, that is part
Yeah.
of their new job.
Okay.
When we came up with this, Katie was here
Mhm.
and we were looking for something different and her plate was pretty full, but this is a new position, and so it's possible that we don't have to go out for bid to.
For the main event.
That would be
Yeah.
my preference because I would prefer not.
Keep it in-house?
And then,
Okay.
and then wow the event and have the funds to wow the event.
Right.
And I'm, we've got a robust applicant pool.
Oh, do you? Good. I was just gonna say.
And my hope is that this person plus the existing staff can pull that off.
And that will happen maybe by the first of the year?
Yeah, so applications close this week.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's an interesting idea. If the person that you hire executes the 3 main events, what happens to the money that we allocated for those?
For the end of the event.
It goes into the
It's just to the event, yeah.
So then we can hire different musicians or different.
Or whatever, whatever else pops up.
Okay.
My preference, maybe there's another great idea out there.
Cool.
Maybe it's a
Okay.
crosswalk, or maybe it's a.
So under number 4 again, work with consultant to define and execute process for community, stakeholders, and the board involvement.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Guys, I'm gonna head home, so I'm.
Thank you
home
so
till
much.
bedtime.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being
Thanks for
here.
coming.
Feel free to come back to
Yeah. Come and see us again.
Mark's home more often and I can get away.
I can do these fun things. Okay.
Okay, so do we want anywhere, what do you guys think about, I don't know, how do we keep the door open, or can we just bring to the board if ideas come up that aren't on our work plan? I mean, we've done that in the past with them and been successful.
Most active, I think
Do you
That's
have,
kind of the precedence that's been set now. Yeah.
do you have any idea what that, I mean, what that might be? I mean,
Well, so
the work plan looks like so much stuff as it is.
It looks like stuff, but we don't know the shape of the person that gets on board.
Mhm.
And so is there a possible way to partner with the Louisville Library to do like a writing workshop? Something along those lines, and other partners that might be willing, like the Summit Bank, the grant writing workshop I went to, they said banks love to get involved in the community, and they do that little carnival every year.
We've got a conference room over there.
Is there something else that we can do with them partner-wise that doesn't require, us out on the street painting?
Well, or even like-
but being active and promoting other areas.
Because now that Great Play is gone, which is a major bummer, now that that's gone, what about trying even to have, a children's and young adult art studio or something in that space where Great Play is?
So, right, so would that idea fit into any of the 4 bullet points for ongoing, so that if we did have something?
Because we
come
talked
up,
about
we can say,
in Evanston where they have that
Yeah,
pop-up studio art gallery kind of thing, and maybe Brixmore and Superior Marketplace would be willing to do something, and they charge you. It's like the one in Boulder, right on Pearl Street, that they had the
Well, and even
pop-up
maybe
art
not
studio.
within a building, so Sandy Hammerly had this idea in her hometown, kids painted the windows
Right.
of the.
Oh, we did those
of
for years,
The
yeah.
buildings, and so you don't have to actually have access to a building, but it could be a project like that. That was,
That must be a big, small town. Is wireframe a word?
wireframe is.
What does it mean?
It's the outline of a website or a.
Yeah, geek speak.
It's the bones of a.
Put the bones together.
Yeah, so we were just gonna sit there and draw out what we wanted this artist registry to look like. The
I got you,
wireframe
that
is those
wireframe.
components.
Sort of like that dog kennel.
Huh?
That wireframe of the
Oh.
dog kennel.
Yeah, and we're gonna put all the artists inside this great big dog frame.
I get it. I got the visual.
Okay, so, anything else we wanna add?
No, but that's good tweaking.
We're planning to go before the board the second meeting in January,
Oh, okay.
tentatively scheduled right now.
Okay,
So say that
Okay.
before you leave it.
and then you said there's also a plan for, all committee.
Yeah, Karen and I are working on like, almost like a committee
So
101.
you want us to all sort of sign up for volunteering?
A what? A committee what?
Vision, so so Claire was talking about,
Basically, wait for all of us to get together and meet each other and talk about what's going on.
having all of the.
Oh, it's like a
committees-
retreat you do for corporations?
Kind of, yeah, so we all know what's going
Okay.
on with each committee. And if you guys want to take these, maybe since we're running out of time, and fill them in with ideas, but my thought was I would just get a notebook for every, for the main events, for all of these pop-ups, and then all of our paperwork could go into those.
So you want us to do some brainstorms?
Yeah, to think about it,
Is there a way with the utility pop-ups, like in our neighborhood? Because actually, 2 of our neighbors would be willing to chip in money to have the utility boxes covered.
so at the bottom, one of the ideas is sponsorships or partnerships.
Right.
So those
Yeah,
are-
but they'd want it in our neighborhood.
Those are ideas, and it goes back to some of, when the neighbors over here wanted us to chip in money for their
Oh, that's
personal
the,
art.
the tree.
We want to consider public-private land things and that sort of.
Oh, our $50,000 that we got extra, didn't we talk about the possibility of establishing something where we might be able to contribute to art things being done, you know?
Grants.
A
Grants,
grant.
thank you.
So that I think is part of our master plan. That is one of our bullet points that we want to talk about and potentially establish is grants for those types of things. And again, trying to decide whether or not we want to give people money for private land components. I know Boulder just did a very successful private-public art partnership kind of thing, so it can happen. So yeah, that's definitely.
I was just thinking that extra money might be able to be put in a pot for that.
Mhm.
and this is a segue, but does anybody want to opine over the Isaac demise in Breckenridge?
I know, what a bummer. Can we bring him to our park?
I just got to see him a couple weeks ago.
I know, he's cool.
Because the neighbors were very upset about all the traffic and what but it was so cool. And so they were really upset. And some of the neighbors wanted it to stay, and enough neighbors made enough noise that said, no, we don't want it, so they took it. It wasn't meant
Can you
to,
describe what
it
it
wasn't
is?
meant
It's a
to
troll.
be permanent, and
It looks like,
the artist made it out of
where the wild things are.
reclaimed
That's what
wood,
it looks like.
and he didn't even think it was gonna last the entire winter, but the neighborhood made such a fuss that they took it down. And it was amazing.
Well, why don't we adopt it?
That's what I'm saying, we
Well, they
can
took
put it
it
in like
apart,
Founder's
and they
Park.
said they wanna maybe put it back together someplace else.
Put it like way out.
She's like, no.
Yeah.
Pickleball got
Get people
controversial.
outside, yeah.
So you try to do something like this.
Well, you could put it in the,
ISAAC, or is it ISAC?
It's the troll,
It's
I
a
think the
troll.
troll in Breckenridge.
We did hear that, you were starting.
It was so cool, I just.
Wouldn't that be great in one of your
I was there.
It was. I think it's
Oh my
appropriate
God.
for a playground.
Yeah.
There were some horror stories from the residents of the ground.
Yeah.
People being heavily intoxicated.
Well, that's unfortunate, yeah,
And, sleeping in their yards. and
Sure.
going to the restroom in their yards. and
yeah, that's
parking
unfortunate,
in front of their houses and stuff.
yeah, and that's
But-
just
Isn't he cute? Look
so
at him.
cute.
it looks like one of the characters in Where the Wild Things Are.
But I just think that if we had something iconic like that, that would draw, maybe, maybe our Dewey sculpture will do that, but something that would be quirky and interesting enough that would draw people to come in a way that wouldn't be upsetting,
To the neighbors.
but it would be
Put it in one
just
of
a
the
really
parks.
cool,
It's such
I
great destinations.
wanna go to Superior to see that thing, That would be cool.
I think this would really jazz up the dog park area, the dog park, skate park area over there. It needs a capstone.
That could be
so
our
that-
long-term project.
There was
We're all
so
whittling
much.
away.
Oh my gosh, if you go to see how many hits that had, it's just, it's gone crazy.
Kids take pictures with it.
Yeah, look at them just climbing on it.
Yeah.
And that's what that bike park and everything is for, and skate park.
Oh, we should have
It
art
just
at the
fits-
bike park.
Yeah.
What?
Art at the bike park. Well, even, if you think about Founders Park, we did all kinds of low-tech art around the park in the concrete, just to,
That is cool.
I love it. I think we should put it over there. It fits in just with the natural
Yeah, I think-
terrain and everything.
Tara's like, no, I have enough